Welcome back to Retro Rebound. A very important part of this channel is backwards compatibility, and one company that really led the charge on that was Xbox with their backwards compatibility for 360 and the original Xbox. Recently, they added 70 plus games to back compat, and I was so excited about this because I thought the initiative had began once more after we had waited 2 years for a new batch to drop. Unfortunately, Xbox just recently confirmed that they are no longer adding games to back compat. They've abandoned the operation entirely. And I found this really disappointing because there were a ton of snubs, games that have been left out. And I know we all have our own lists. So what I thought I'd do in today's video is break down a bunch of games that I thought were snubs, and I know the comments will certainly have their own. So do consider firing away as I go along here. If you're new here, please check out some of the other content we have available. I would certainly appreciate that. And with that, let's talk Xbox games. So number one biggest snub across the board that I think we all can agree with is Jet Set Radio Future. So this is the double pack here with Sega GT 2002, but Jet Set Radio Future has a banging soundtrack. It was a launch Xbox game, and it had a style unlike anything else. You would glide around on rollerblades, spray painting the walls, doing cool tricks. It didn't control as well, but this was a definitive early Xbox game, and it was published by Sega. Now with Sega, what really is strange is they brought back the likes of Otogi. They brought back so many different games for back compat. They did FPS boost for Sonic Unleashed, Sonic Generations. They brought so many of these games back and updated some of them, but they didn't do the original Jet Set Radio Future. Now you can get Jet Set Radio on Vita and PS3, but Future is where it's at. It feels so good to play compared to Jet Set Radio. So unfortunately, Radio Future apparently not gonna come to Xbox back compat. Next one is one that I take very personally. It's a game that's often forgotten about, and that's Death Row. Death Row, as you can see, Underground Team Combat. This is my original copy. I know it's ugly, right? This is when GameStop did this type of stuff right here. You'd see they put the sticker on the inside. So you'd actually, if you wanted to remove it, you would have to take out the box art, and you'd see they put it right on there. So there was no removing it without damaging your box art. And actually, I didn't know this at all, but there's a Rockstar energy drink promotion here on the back of the case. Anyway, this game is just raunchy. I'll be honest with you. You'll be able to hit the black button in the case of the original Xbox, and you'll flip people off. You'll curse at them. You'll hear some foul stuff that would just not pass in video games nowadays. But it's a fighting game and a sports game with a disc in the middle. And this disc you throw into portals, and when you go through the portal, you score. Every teammate has 3 lives. So that's where the fighting game comes in, because you can punch people out, you can knock them out, or you can injure them to make it a 3-on-4, a 2-on-4. So there's a strategic element to actually fighting with punches, kicks, and throws. There's dodging, rolling. But again, there's also one-timers, there's charge shots, there's just simple shots into the goal itself. There's so many ways to approach the gameplay, and it all feels really good. Only thing I have an issue with this game is the camera controls. But this is a game that I'm so convinced if it came back, it would do really well. And I thought back compat was that pathway to get people to realize Death Row is here and it means business. Funny enough, a Ubisoft published title comes from South End. South End no longer available. So these are 2 original Xbox games that Xbox couldn't figure out, whether it be technical, legal, whatever it may be. They could not get these games onto back compat. I wanted to continue some of that original Xbox discussion here by breaking out these 2. Now, this one may be a little bit strange to some of you. We have the Halo Master Chief Collection. Why would you want the original Halo games? I think when Xbox talks a lot about game preservation, these 2 right here should be number 1 on the list. Halo 1, which was a huge, important game for you, and Halo 2, the follow-up to that. These 2 should just be in back compat because of their legacy. Even if we already have better versions, more accessible versions, ones that are more preferably played, these here are the ones that you need to have. Now, I actually didn't buy the limited collector's edition. Believe it or not, this steelbook case here is not that much money online. I thought it would be, but it is the limited collector's edition disc. And man, what absolutely legendary titles these two are here. I love the cover art for this one. As you can see, Master Chief kind of reflects a little bit. Like they did something with the art on him here. Game of the year. I think Halo 1 is the best Halo of them all. It's a iconic campaign that begins as humans versus aliens. But then it becomes something so much more once you play Silent Cartographer and you get to Assault on the Control Room and you realize the secrets of the Halo ring. There's just that level of discovery and being the last of your kind captured in this game. And then its follow-up, I don't know, to me it just seems weird that these two games that are now your flagship IP are not available in back compat. Again, I understand with the likes of Master Chief Collection, why would it matter? But I think that preservation is important for even the original products. So that brings us to one final original Xbox game before we move into 360, and that's Mech Assault. So I've actually not played Mech Assault at all. Only Mech Assault 2 is backwards compatible on 360, but the original never was. And I don't know why they never figured this one out. So if you ever want to play Mech Assault 1, the only way you can do that is through the original Xbox. And there are a lot of games that are just locked on that hardware alone, let alone being back compat for Xbox 360. It's another situation where the manual is an absolute unit of a booklet. I love to see it there. But for those of you who like mechs, fast-paced explosive battles, massive destruction, this is the kind of game for you. And it's very cheap to get. I would recommend getting it now because with Xbox announcing, hey, we're not doing back compat anymore, unless they walk back on that, but they're saying, hey, we're not doing it anymore. Certain games locked in certain pieces of hardware, like 50 Cent Blood in the Sand, where you can play it on back compat, but you cannot download it. The price for that went up. I think the price for something like Mech Assault will also go up, knowing you can only experience it in one place, because for some reason, that just inflates value. But those are my picks for the original Xbox, ones that I think are very, very much agreeable. Now we get into the Xbox 360 where I have some more weirdo picks. First things first, we got to talk about anime. So Naruto brought two of, I think, Xbox 360's best JRPGs to the system exclusively. This was when Naruto was just licensing itself out and making a ton of money. So they were going over to PlayStation saying, hey, let's do this cool Ultimate Ninja thing, which ended up being extremely popular with Ultimate Ninja Storm. Meanwhile, Xbox got in on the fun with Rise of a Ninja and Broken Bond. Broken Bond being my personal favorite because it was more RPG styled, where Rise of a Ninja was this actual free roam kind of game. Again, this is where Shonen Jump was really licensing things out, because you saw in the first Ultimate Ninja Storm, you could explore the open world area of the Hidden Leaf Village. And you could do the same here in Rise of a Ninja, although I think it was a little bit more deep, because the whole game was built around that. Whereas in Ultimate Ninja Storm, of course, it was mostly built around the fighting. But with Broken Bond, again, just the RPG systems there and being able to play as Sasuke and relive the story from both sides. I thought as a kid it was really impactful, of course, but it doesn't get nearly enough love. These two, I understand why they couldn't make the cut. There's probably licensing issues that go into these two. But when you find out that you can do 50 Cent Blood in the Sand by saying, hey, you buy the disc, and then you could put that in, but you can't sell it digitally, I think a lot of games could have had that leapfrog and been able to make it into back compat if Xbox had actually let them. So I just wanted to shout out those two. Another one I wanted to shout out was Wolfenstein. Some of you may be raising an eyebrow here. Yeah, so there was a Wolfenstein before New Order. This one was more dark fantasy. It comes from Raven Software, who did the likes of Singularity, a really underrated first-person shooter. They recently did the campaign for Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, which I'm not really a Call of Duty fan, but the story for that game was really good. I really liked it. It caught me off guard completely. So this dark fantasy first-person shooter actually gives you like powers that you can use, which is very, 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 very different from the Wolfenstein games that we play nowadays. But I like this one so much, and I felt like with the heritage there with Xbox, and you can see id also helped with this game. And since id was involved, I thought to myself, well, id's a part of Xbox. You have Wolfenstein here, that's a part of Xbox. Why don't we really have the OG Dark Fantasy Wolfenstein from, I believe it was 2009, Why don't we have that on back compat? So this one also sadly missed the cut. And it's not one of those situations where companies are out of business. They own id, and Raven Software is in business. So I'm actually unsure how that's going to work, but maybe they had to go through Activision for that. This did have multiplayer with it, which I personally never played. There could be something with that, but definitely one I wanted to shout out. Last but certainly not least, another tie-in game here, X-Men Origins Wolverine. So with Wolverine coming out for PlayStation 5, if I'm Xbox, I would have just tried to figure this out just so you have something. But X-Men Origins Wolverine is the top dog when it comes to gory tie-in games. It was so disgusting, the things that you could do. Putting people's heads in helicopter blades, ripping them in half. You truly were Wolverine in this game. It was unapologetically M-rated. And get this. Hey, check out this connection here. Both are from Ravensoft. Underrated developer in our industry. Really, really underappreciated. But they brought us this game too, and it was excellent. It was so unfairly good because of the combat. The story didn't really matter. Final boss sucked, but the combat, the exploration, it was a tie-in game that was way better than it ever needed to be. And as you can see, I happily paid 25 bucks for this one. Got a complete inbox right here. We're going to remove these stickers and all this gunk soon enough once I get some time to do so. But this one, I feel like with PS5's Wolverine coming up and a lot of Marvel games seemingly missing from Xbox platforms, I would love to see them go out and get a good one like this. So those are my personal suggestions on games I would love to see Xbox bring to back compat, but also more accurately, the biggest snubs. So what are your biggest snubs for Xbox back compat? Let me know down below. I'm certainly looking forward to reading your thoughts. Other than that, take excellent care of yourselves, and we'll talk soon. Peace out.